Greetings, girls, and welcome back to the episode of Starfleet Command. We're on Pirates Mod. I'm Admiral Tarek of the battleship Infiltrator, as we continue to create our own little empire up here to the north of the Federation. And last time, well, the Infiltrator's been kicking some butt, taking some names, and starting to push on territory. So let's quickly check through the shipyard to make sure that one of the fabled XBCs is not available. They are not. So we will make sure we're on good supplies, which we weren't. Once again, down to that 4 that we can never seem to get rid of. And sure, let's set out into space and see if we can't cause a little bit of havoc. We want to try and capture a whole bunch of neutral tiles. That is kind of the point of this campaign. And in doing so, we will hopefully have a little bit of fun with it. However, I don't know if this has been fully talked about just yet. We will be ending our Starfleet Command campaign a little bit early. If you are part of our Discord, I went into a little bit more in-depth on what's been going on lately. MechWarrior 5 is going to be releasing sometime very soon, I believe next week, and when it does, this channel will be switching over to more actively playing it, so that we'll have MechWarrior 5 as well as Rogue Tech playing at the same time. Because of this, we needed to find an open slot for that, and just continuing to reduce the number of days that Starfleet Command was available just wasn't really an option anymore. And to be perfectly frank, I'm getting a little bit burned out on Starfleet Command. I have been playing this game for nearly every single day for 3 years at this point, so I unfortunately made a little bit of a mistake recently, well, particularly with Series 2. Back in Series 1, I very carefully made sure that I was sort of balancing different races per faction play. So I would play one race that had photon torpedoes, and then I think we immediately moved into Klingons just for narrative reasons, but then we made sure that we varied between plasma and non-plasma races back and forth over and over, just in order to sort of vary up the gameplay, but also this made it so I personally had a lot more varied gameplay when I was actually going through things. So good experience for the user, good experience for the player. In Series 2, I was much less careful about that and ended up chaining all 3 plasma races in a row. This is no one's fault except my own, by not having enough foresight to sort of realize that this could potentially end up being a problem, and unfortunately it ended up happening to be a problem. I frankly have been having less and less fun playing these last couple of campaigns, and one of the big reasons why I ended up playing with the Cardassians in this campaign was mainly because I was getting bored of plasma. Now, I do love the ISC. I love the way that the faction plays out with the PPDs. I think it's fascinating in the style in which they play. Unfortunately, I'm just playing another race that is a slow charge time that requires a lot of careful maneuvers in order to make sure that you don't overstress anything. It gets old when you do it 3 times in a row. So I need a little bit of a break from playing Starfleet Command for a while. So when MechWarrior 5 comes out, we will be switching over to playing that for, well, the time slot that would normally be taken up by Starfleet Command. And I will probably make another video on this one, specifically about the schedule change. However, I just kind of wanted to give a bit of a heads up for folks who may not have heard so far. I think I've talked about this before, but, well, so far this week has been incredibly stressful. So I'm just trying to make sure that I have this covered, because I don't want this to come as a surprise to anybody, because it was not a decision that I made lightly, and I do still adore this game. I love playing Starfleet Command. It is a fascinating game. There is so much strategy and tactics to unlock, but right now I can't continue to play along with it. It's not holding me, and it's making me, unfortunately, kind of not dread playing, but I don't look forward to having to make episodes for this right now, which was kind of never the goal. I always wanted this game to be something that I loved and enjoyed 100% of the time, and it's kind of been less and less. There have been some really interesting fights that we've had so far in this campaign, stuff that has really challenged me as a player because of the way that we've been sort of changing a little bit how we played. But it's not quite what I need. I don't really know how to explain it much better than that, other than this is something that I really love, and I don't want to eventually come to the conclusion that, oh my god, I just don't want to play anymore, and it becomes tainted forever. So I think if I give myself a little bit of space, some time while we play through a couple of other games, we'll come back to it, and we'll recapture that love that we had that when we started this channel literally 2 years ago, specifically to play Starfleet Command. It's kind of funny to actually think about it in that way, but the whole point of this channel was created so that I would have sort of additional motivation playing through this game. because it's something that I've always loved, and I've started a lot of campaigns in this game, and I always ended up sort of switching over to a new faction every so often and never followed through and finished anything. And part of this channel's point was to make me have to finish a campaign and sort of learn how to play a faction properly, and completely and totally accomplished that goal. I have learned so much more about this game than I ever thought I could, and I had been playing this game for a very long time, and the stuff that I've learned about it over the course of, well, the years at this point has been so fascinating and so enjoyable. But I really do need to take some time away from it. Now, there will probably be Starfleet Command content next week as well, but after that we will be shifting on over to playing not Starfleet Command content for a little while. It could still show up in streams that we may do specially, but it's going to be a little bit of a break. And I understand that there are quite a few of you who subscribe to the channel for Starfleet Command, and that's the only thing that you care about. And that Rogue Tech, Battle Tech, Mech Warrior, all of that doesn't mean a thing to you. And I understand that, and I appreciate that. The only thing I can say is I hope that you hang around, because I think that we've managed to create a great little community here, and you are definitely a part of that community, and we'd love to continue to spend time with each other and have a good time. But I have to a certain extent, I kind of have to think of my mental health with this game. Because I have played games to a point of ruination. I have forced and battered my face into a game before until it no longer became fun, and when I look back on it, I remember the good times, but I can't ever touch it again. In fact, there was a game that I used to play, a few years ago, called Wargame. It's part of a 3-game series: Wargame, European Escalation, Wargame, Airland Battle, and Wargame Red Dragon, and I became hugely invested in the community of that game and paying attention to every little thing and sort of getting to know more and more about it over time. And I got too caught up in sort of a toxic end of that community and ended up destroying my love of that game. And I will always remember back fondly me and a bunch of friends playing through the massive 10 versus 10 battles, but I would never go back to it because there's too much baggage there for me to ever do that. So I don't want that to ever happen to Starfleet Command, because Starfleet Command has just been too much of an important part of sort of my gameplay growing up, I suppose you could say. I don't want to get too philosophical about it, but it is something that, if it ever were to come to that, it would be a total tragedy, at least to me. I don't know how anybody else would feel about it, but I would not be a happy camper if suddenly I turned around and I couldn't enjoy Starfleet Command anymore. So that's the big reason of why I want to take a break. Just so I can recapture that love and make sure that I never get to that point again with another game that I truly adore. So, now that I've been talking so depressingly about Stop Me to Play, one of the games that we love, let's continue to focus on this battle, as we apparently are squaring off, us and another Dreadnought, against a couple of light cruisers, it appears. They don't appear to be at all capable of handling our firepower. In fact, I'm deliberately not deploying my Wild Weasels because, oh no, this is a... Right, this was a holding action, wasn't it? In any event, I am actually stunned that you've taken as much damage as you have. You have a hilarious amount of firepower. The Killing Song is a heavy dreadnought. It should have like 12 missile tubes. That sucker should not be worried at all about an HCW X1, especially not one that is only carrying 4 disruptors, 2 missile launchers, and a single expanding sphere generator. Oh wow, he is just struggling for what I can only surmise is no reason at all. I suppose the best explanation might be he got a lucky scatter pack in? Also, his attack shift is stupid high. Oh wow, that's impressive. There's some love with that, and we'll switch over. Give the pseudo torpedo, see if we can't bait out the crash stop. And we didn't. Gonna fire a real one. He did manage to get a good hit, didn't quite penetrate my shields, and I'm going to hurt myself in order to spit out a couple of plasma Fs into his face, and he is not having a good day with that one. Going to bring around another couple of phasers. In fact, I can still fire everything I thought. Oh, it was closer than I actually was. This is going to finish him off. He's not winning against that. Ooh, he did. I'm impressed. Consider me highly impressed, actually. I was not anticipating him being able to survive that at all. It was a perfect shot of the additional I-type plasma torpedoes, which do give us a lot of flexibility. I-types are They are a massively powerful intensive system. They are not super effective at sort of like point defense, at least not in this game. I imagine if you had an entire interlocking group of I-type plasma torpedoes, it would be a much more effective fighter defense. However, the ability to have an additional plasma F torpedo every single round for 4 rounds is huge. It gives you so much sustain that it really isn't reflected in any of the other plasma races. With every other plasma race, it's you charge out your plasmas, you fire them every 3 turns, and hopefully you kill them after the first one, because otherwise you have a long recharge ahead of you. Well, for this particular faction, if the ISC starts to turn away, they actually have the ability to continually spit out plasma torpedoes for the next 3 rounds after that, which, if you do your power right, you might be able to continue to keep the forward plasma bombardment. Now, the only problem the ISC has is the PBD does not exactly synergize great with that. I suppose as a retreating weapon to build out the range to run it again, sure, but the plasma F torpedo is really short-ranged, and so it kind of takes some of the teeth out of that. They have to be charging at you full bore before you can suddenly chuck a whole bunch of plasma torpedoes into their face. And most of the smaller ships are only packing 2 of them. So they have to pay the price of having to charge them all up, but they've only got 2 mounts, so it's only 2 plasma torpedoes every turn. So I'm not quite sure how the math works out on that as far as an actual deterrent. As far as a back protection for a fighting group, like if they brought an entire ship squadron to bear, then that would be a whole other factor, because suddenly you are interlocking fields of protective plasma fire. That I can imagine would be amazing. Unfortunately, the game doesn't really have the resources to let you do that in single player, which frankly is the only mode that we play. Someday, when we return to this, we may return to this by playing just a whole bunch of multiplayer matches with friends, just to see how things turn out. Oh, apparently we've been ambushed. That's going to be fun. We'll be able to get out of this one without too much trouble, I imagine. Worst comes to worst, we just, pedal to the metal and we run on out of here as fast as we can. What do we got here? We're dealing with... we're dealing with a plasma battlecruiser. So we've been intercepted, of course, by a Nebula class and a light cruiser, which is... Oh, this is a drone light cruiser. And I know that because of this drone rack up here. So let's quick check on the fleet screen. Yeah, it's a new drone cruiser with X and M. So it is an X-type refit. It has M-type MIRVs. We're in a really bad position, actually. Running might be the best strategy. So the drone cruiser is especially dangerous to us because the drone cruiser is packing a MIRV launcher, which is already going to saturate my frankly anemic phaser defense for a battleship dreadnought or for a battleship carrier. And the BCF, the BCF is packing your standard run-of-the-mill setup for a Federation battlecruiser, which is 4 photon torpedoes and like 10 phaser X's because it's the next type. But he's also packing a pair of G-type plasma torpedoes because he is the X-type variant, which does not have F-type plasma torpedoes, but rather G's, which in my opinion is a bit of a mistake in terms of firepower. The additional power to charge them up for the slight increase in range I don't really think is all that useful. Yeah, so these two combined with each other is actually a really scary combination, because if that F-type plasma torpedo gets in close, I mean, it's 40 damage out of that from that alone, not even including his photon torpedoes. But if this guy can set him up for it, which he can easily do, because he's got the missiles, because I don't have much of a solution for his missiles, then that is... Oh, we killed a MIRV. Nice. Then that is an incredibly potent combination. So I'm going to see if I can't sort of do a high-speed PPD run on this one, I guess would be the best way to put it, because the PPD is probably my best weapon in this fight. And I am noticing that I can't actually get... I don't think I can get beyond a speed of 30.5. So that's a bit of a downer. Might be able to kill him, though. We have knocked out his shuttle bay, which is great if I can get, plasma torpedoes ready to go. But I don't have them at the moment. So we're going to have to maneuver away from this heavy cruiser. This Nebula is really cool. It's just the model quality for this pod is not super great. But I really didn't have much of a better option. And it looks really interesting. I mean, they're 2 giant cannons. It makes a lot of sense for that to be like the plasma torpedo pod. I'm actually rather fond of it. I'm so tempted to shut off everything just so I can charge the PPDs, because that's the only thing I care about. I really have no interest in charging my plasma torpedoes for now. I don't want to get that close for a plasma torpedo strike. Maybe later, but for now, the PPD gives me the flexibility to sort of hang at range. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 4 I-types and I'm going to turn them offline. So now I don't have to worry about that. How much power do I got to spare? I have 1.5 points of power, which is not great. Give me forward shield reinforcement. Should probably reinforce the aft shield though, since I'm currently running away from a target that can probably hurt me pretty brutally bad, but I am going to have to pass by him, which is not going to be a particularly pleasant experience. Okay, let's shut off another plasma torpedo, see if that gives me any power. I am asking for apparently... I'm asking for 90 shield, I'm asking for 18.7 points of power. Shut off this as well. So we are a PPD only boat. See if I can charge up all my PPDs. My phaser capacitor is fully charged. Do I seriously not have enough power to charge PPDs? Please tell me I do. Charging one of them. Can I only charge them up one at a time? You're closing the range in a much faster fashion than I want. That was my concern. Federation ship, photon torpedoes, always a danger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn around. And I'm going to trick him into giving me space. So that's speed of time, just so I can focus on this properly. And starboard side plasma. Oh shoot, wrong target. Crap. There we go. Oh crap. That was much closer than I wanted to be. Bane. Pseudos. You don't have pseudos? That's unfortunate. That kind of ruined my plan a little bit. Not gonna lie. But I am going to basically charge right in on you. I do not want you to point defense that. I want to just absorb it, because you're not in a position to actually do anything to me. And so I can come in with just, well, apparently 3 PPDs, which is not great. I was hoping to come in with much more. We do have to be careful about the range on this one. Not only because, you know, we can only shoot the PPDs within a specific range, but if he dumps his missiles in my face, I'm going to have what you can kindly describe as a bad time. I'm actually a lot closer than I wanted to be. But I am bullying him pretty bad, which is good. We don't want the enemy to be able to counteract my bullying. Offline. And offline. Save myself some power. A little bit of long-range photon torpedo fire, but that's okay. I'll just pull the distance on away from you because you decided you wanted to slow down to 10, 8.4. I will work with that. Sayonara, suckers. I'm out of here. I mean, not forever. We're coming back to kill the Powell. The Powell is not getting away. I've deliberately set it up so I can kill him. I just need, you know, all of my systems charging. Oh, he's starting to accelerate. He's starting to pick up pace. Alright, there go all my PPDs starting to charge. 27 is my magic speed. So let's see. Yep, he's going to surpass it and he's going to start pulling the range in, but we're going to turn around. We're going to turn everything back on in order to engage him. I just want to make sure the PPD is ready to go first. Because honestly, I don't want to get into a plasma duel with this guy. We'll win the plasma duel. I just don't want to do it. Like, we will win a plasma duel. This guy does not win in a plasma duel against us. It just will take a lot of damage. Also, it may not become a plasma duel. It may instead become a close-range boxing match that I really don't want to handle. He's already stripping away a decent chunk of my shields. There's his counterfire, which I was really hoping we didn't do. Maximize the speed. Come on, go for the crash stop. There's the crash stop I wanted. Okay. Unfortunately, he's forced me out of the range that I wanted to go with because I wanted to basically cut right through him before I bothered with that. But he's done a good job of forcing me to have to take the outside route, which is not good. So that covered the Powell a little bit, but I should be able to sprint on past him. He is a battlecruiser, which means he's not like the most maneuverable thing in the universe, but he does still have some maneuverability compared to us. He'll probably be able to pull that turn inside pretty good. And unless I can basically bait him to stop. Yeah, he's even getting the bow weapons around, so that's a little bit of a pain. How's my power doing? Yeah, gotta sacrifice so much power to charge up all these weapon systems. I wish I had taken the time to make sure that I wish I could have taken the time to make sure that my I-type plasma torpedoes were ready, but we were not in a position to do that. You are in a nasty position for me. Because he's already on this back rear shield, which is very weak. Not much I can do about it if I want to go after this guy, and I do. I really, really do. If I can get, however, my systems recharged, then that would be best. But however, first the PPD. Again, he's still quite dangerous because he's only going to have slow drones, based on the way that the game sets up what units have what missiles. He's only going to have the slow drones, which are not very powerful. However, those slow drones, when you're fighting somebody who's flying right at you at maximum speed, generally tend to be more than enough. Get down the PPD. Good match. 3, 4, good hits. Tor. Okay, so the first target is down. So now we just have him to play with. And we will have to attempt to play with him in the best way possible. I don't know what that best way possible is just yet, but we're going to figure it out. Because I really don't want to have to put up with this crap. So one of our anti-plasma torpedoes is fully ready to go. He is pulling the range in. I'm going to double mine. Generally, mine's not as useful, I don't think, on particularly large heavy ships, because they tend to be so slow at the helm that you don't get that distance and maneuverability that you need in order to force a mine. Ooh, it would have been smart for him to cut off in this direction, because that would have forced me to reveal this shield. So his sort of wallowing is definitely working in my favor, because it's allowing me time to charge my weapon systems, including my port side and starboard side plasma torpedoes, which are just about to be ready. Starboard side plasma torpedo, speaking of, yeah, you're in range. You'll react to it, assuming, of course, you have a shuttle ready to go, which you might not. You are, after all, still a battlecruiser. That's not crashed up. Yeah, that wasn't a crashed up. Not quite sure why he slowed down so much. Because a crash up would have been a much faster, instantaneous drop in speed. I gotta get the shields to a reinforcement in the rear. I don't have much power, but the aft shield can take a little bit in order to prevent those phasers from doing everything that they're doing. So I'm willing to take aft shield damage to an extent. Once I can get the aft reinforcement up online, I should be good for a little while. But the reason why I'm willing to just sort of tank it is because that's giving my PPDs time to charge, that's giving my plasma torpedoes time to charge, it's giving my I-type plasma torpedoes time to charge, and that's kind of the big one. Because I can get the I-types ready to rock and roll, I can sort of push the limit a bit more. So I will actually prepare for a re-engagement, and we'll open the re-engagement by dropping a mine. If he has to engage the mine, then he has to worry about things that I want him to worry about. And I do want to sort of extend the range out a bit more, as we're just going to keep on cruising along as much as we can. Gonna wait for him to cut back over in this direction, then we can sort of turn on in as well. He didn't go for the full turn, which is unfortunate, because now the range is going to be much tighter than I want it to be. Do I have a starboard? I do not have a starboard pseudo. How about any pseudo plasma torpedo? I don't. Alright, so this will have to be real. And we'll see if we can't get the PPD on target. Good hookup. 2, 3, 4. Solid hits. He's open already. And is that going to be a crash stop? It is not, and I accidentally clicked my own speed. So I got to keep the speed up. He's dropped down rather significantly. So something to keep in mind. However, now cutting away, we had a good plasma torpedo attack. We followed, well, actually we opened with a PPD strike, followed it with a good plasma head. He didn't attempt to defend against either of them. His forward shields are badly damaged, which puts us much more in the driver's seat now, because the AI is going to try and protect that weak forward shield, and well, if he's going to do that, then he's not going to want to joust with us, which is kind of what we want to do. So if he's going to avoid jousting with us, then we get an even stronger position, because now he's pulling away some of his most potent weapon systems. And we can come back in with PPDs and cause all kinds of havoc. Good, missed with a photon torpedo. I'm not actually using my electronic warfare systems. I probably should be, but I am focused a little bit more on positioning right now, although the EW systems would definitely help. Really, I'm desperately trying to get a good charge going on my I-type plasma torpedoes. If I can get those fully charged again, I will be in a very confident position, because at that point, an overrun is not necessarily out of the cards. I don't want to do it because I don't have a solution to those G-type plasma torpedoes right now, because I didn't prepare a wild weasel. But I think I can basically cut around him to do enough things in order to take control of any sort of engagement. It's going to fire another photon torpedo. It's going to bounce off my forward shields. Didn't quite bounce. It actually did cause damage, but not the worst thing in the world. Fire a pseudo. Sort of opening up from a long-ish range. We're going to fire at about 15. Don't want to get too close. That's very important. Good hookup. Another good solid hit on through. And he's not reacting to the plasma. He is hard turning. I'll give you a parting shot with another plasma torpedo, and we'll drift on away. His speed has dropped rather considerably. There's the plasma discharge. I was kind of expecting that. I was actually expecting that on the in route, but he did not. Okay, knocked out more of his shields. He's losing systems a lot all over the place. So we're just going to keep the power high while we burn these plasma torpedoes down. We're just going to extend the range out, utilize our advantages of basically range and staying power, because we have a significant staying power advantage. First of all, our shields are better. Second of all, our armor is better. And third of all, our plasma is better. And the PPD allows us to sort of engage further from range. He actually does have the range advantage. The photon torpedo is, frankly, the longest range weapon in the game. You can be accurate out to a range of 55. So it's not greatly accurate, but from a range of like 30-ish, you have like a 33% chance of accuracy, which is huge. He's got 4 photon torpedoes. He could be having a field day with us, but he's really kind of not doing that. He really probably should be trying. All right, we're going to turn on into PPDs are almost ready to go again, and I do want to just get another beautiful blast on through. Look at all that damage that the Nebula has sustained already. He's having a bit of a bad day. So we're going to make sure we get the PPDs on in at the appropriate moment. Slow down a little bit. See if he can get a little bit even more charge on the plasma. I'm kind of feeling like he doesn't actually have any sort of defense anymore. But I can't guarantee that. We'll probably, open fire to try. But again, we're going to wait for that range of 15. And we're going to S-type with a longish range shot. There's our 15. Good hookup. Cutting right through the shields. Once again, getting right in on the ship itself. So he's taking multiple internals and he's about to take another plasma torpedo to a very nasty spot because it's going to hit all over him. The shot was a little bit long. As you can see, the damage is not going to be tremendous. In fact, the damage was apparently none at all. But are you running? Ooh, if you're running, I can shift gears here and start going hard on you. Because if he's trying to avoid me so badly that he doesn't want to reveal any of his forward shield, then what I can do is just hang on his 6, use a PPD over and over into his back until he is beat to little tiny pieces. It actually is a fairly effective strategy against, well, anybody, should you be able to get the right angle going on here. So I'm going to pull in right on his stern and just wait for my PPDs to charge. He's doing a speed of 9, which is really low, and he's not turning into me, which is really surprising. In this sort of situation, we want our shields all the way forward. So protecting ourselves as best as we can. Increase our speed very little. I want to pull the range in nice and tight, but not too tight. Because I am still worried about those G-type plasma torpedoes. I don't know if they're dead or not. Good hookup again. And we are in a corner, so we're crunching down his shields as powerfully as we can. He is attempting a turn on in. So plasma. And I think I'm going to slow down even more. I'm going to drag it. Incoming 40 damage in those plasma torpedoes. I'm going to drop the speed to basically nothing. I have enough power in order to defend against him. Took it both. Phaser return fire. Got another plasma torpedo about to be ready to go. And this is the point where he basically is done. Ooh, he's not. You astonish me, sir. Pull him within phaser 3 range. The rule of thumb is do not ever attempt to capture on an ambush mission, because if you do, the game will glitch out for whatever reason and declare that you have lost the mission by subtracting 500 funds from you. I don't know why it does it, but it does, so never capture if you're on an ambushing mission. There we go, finally getting the I-type plasma torpedoes into the fight. That'll shatter him. So, well fought. Got out of that ambush pretty well. Took care of the ship that probably could have killed us the worst. That new drone cruiser could have really dealt a ton of damage had he been a little bit more aggressive, but he was not. 550 prestige for a job extraordinarily well done. And that's going to do it for today's episode. I have been Derek. If you like what you're seeing, hit that like button and subscribe. If you want to see the notification every time I post one of these videos, press that little bell icon, leave a comment, and make sure you join us for our streams on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 5 o'clock as we play through various games that we want to. And we'll see you all in the next episode.